I'm starting this channel with the saga of my new pedalboard build, so I hope that you enjoy pedalboard and guitar pedal videos as much as I do. So here's where the board is at right now. I've gotten the shelves pretty well done. Pedalboard update. I have gotten some paint on here and am working on getting the power set up. So let me show you that. So I got some black spray paint on most of it. The wood really soaked up the paint, but I'm not too worried about it since a lot of it's going to be covered with Velcro anyways. So you got the brackets. I had set an extra support here that I was going to use for the surge protector, and I've been kind of agonizing over how to incorporate that into my design while also being able to mount one of the power supplies on the bottom of this shelf. And ultimately I decided that it'd be much easier to figure out the surge protector later, and to go ahead and worry about getting this mounted and this power supply set up. Surge protector is much smaller and easier to figure out how I want to put that. So I've got on here some Strymon brackets that almost fit. As you see on the gear page and elsewhere, I've glued an extra bit of padding in there. And then I'm working on creating some wood supports connected to that so that I can ultimately mount it on the bottom of the shelf. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so now it's time for what I would consider the objectively funnest part of a new pedalboard build, which is pedalboard Tetris, right? Getting the pedals laid out on the new board. Still have to do wiring and cables after that, which isn't quite as fun, but pedalboard Tetris I think is pretty fun. I also thought this would be a good opportunity to show you all my original board that I'm moving everything from. See if you can get a better shot of that. It's, you know, all the pedals are just thrown on there right now, but you can kind of see how it's a similar design to my new one. Actually, the new one is a little bit bigger, mostly just in terms of height, I think. All right, so I've got my test configuration in place for this new board. I've got 20 pedals on here right now, not including the 2 loop switchers. So I've got these 5 up here, this giant deadbeat modulation, which is awesome, but man is it big. I've put up here, this is temporary. I'm probably going to end up replacing this with an Boss MD 200 and or a Wampler Terraform at some point. But right now it's the best multi-modulation pedal I have. I love it. It's really good. It's just gigantic. So I've put this on the top. I went ahead and put the color box, JHS color box down here temporarily. And then I also, I've added in, out of the 20 pedals on here, that includes a few overdrives that I wasn't intending on keeping on here, and try out some new sounds and see kind of if I still prefer the combinations that I've been playing with lately. The broadcast is a relatively new find for me. I know I'm late to the game on these, but this is amazing. I had to actually fix this one. I got it for a really good deal on Reverb because one of the pots was broken. So I replaced it. I ran into some wiring issues initially because I had wired up the ground wire incorrectly, so I had to fix that. But now it's working beautifully. So this is an awesome, awesome pedal, and it stacks really well with just about everything, especially my Petty John chime and my Klon, Petty John Klon that's down here. I'll have to tell you more about that in a separate video. But it stacks really, really nicely with those, especially the chime. Between this and the chime, really nice touch sensitivity on those. So this is excellent and relatively new to me, and so I've been stacking that with some other stuff. The Pantheon I had on my board for a long time. Took it off somewhat recently, so I'm putting that back on to try out. The Timmy I never really gave enough of a try to. Initially I tried to put it where my OCD, my version 2 OCD had been, which was toward the end of my dirt, and didn't really like it there with the other pedals I was stacking with at the time. So didn't give it much of a try before taking it off and putting on some other stuff. So I'm going to give that another try. I've put my Wampler Tumnus back on, at least temporarily. I really like it. I took it off initially when I got the Petty John Klon, which, like I said, I have to tell you about separately because that's a really rare pedal. There's only 5 of those that Petty John made. But it already does the Klon thing, so I took the Tumnus off. I've put it back on to be able to play around with that and stack it as well. It stacks really, really nicely with the Pantheon, and may do really nicely with other stuff too. So, you know, I figure I'll give that another try and see how I like it stacked with some other things. All right, Pedalboard update. It's been a while since I've recorded anything about the progress of my pedal board. So here's where it's at and some of the changes I'm making right now. So I had everything set up on here, kind of proof of concept. It was working out okay, but I've had to wait to get some new pedals and to switch out one of my loop switchers. The one I was going to use ended up not working out for what I wanted to do with it, so I had to find another one that I could afford and wait for that to come in. So I've got to change the design a little bit to better accommodate the loop switchers. I've never used a loop switcher before, so I had to kind of play around and get some experience with how I was going to use it before I knew how to adjust the pedal board appropriately. I've also realized that this board is just too big. I think in one of the earlier videos you saw how similar the dimensions are to my previous board, and with this one, because it's better designed and makes better use of the space, I could actually easily fit more than 30 pedals on here, or a solid 30 pedals, even with 2 loop switchers and a MIDI controller. So in order to not encourage such a ridiculously large pedal board, I'm going to trim off a couple inches and tighten things up that way, and then I'll have to make some other adjustments accordingly. So this is where it's at. This is the before, and let's see where it ends up.